for everyone that is on the call today, if you do need to jump off early or if you want to share this with anyone else that wants to see this webinar, there is going to be a recording straight after this that's going to be sent out to everyone. So yeah, just wanted to sort of note that for the webinar today. In addition to that, we do have a section at the bottom over here if you do want to ask any questions in the chat, and one of our team in the back end will actually help support you with those questions as well. So yeah, if we're all good to go, James, should we kick it off?
Let's do it.
Amazing. So to introduce myself, my name is Rami Shahada. I'm head of partnerships at Podium Australia. I've been here for roughly about 6 years now, and yeah, I've seen it sort of scale and grow to where it is today. I'll hand the mic over to yourself, James, to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, so my name's James Sheringham. I work for eBay. My role essentially is to manage the team that supports new businesses to come onto eBay, but also partnerships with applications like Podium. So nice to meet you all. I've been at eBay roughly 6 years as well, interestingly.
Oh, really? Sweet. Love it. Well, for everyone who doesn't know who Podium is, I just want to give you guys a bit of an understanding or a little bit of a snapshot of who we are. The short of it is we are a software company based out in the US predominantly. We've been around since 2014, and we work with about 100,000 businesses globally. Now, with that, we do have the financial backing with some of the biggest businesses in the country, in the world. Some of which are, noted on the screen. Google Ventures. We've been in the Y Combinator Group. We've been in Forbes. There's a whole range of things that we've done in the US. In Australia, we've been here for roughly about 6 years as well. And we work with about 4,500 businesses in Australia. Now, something to note about Australia as well is that we have all of the support, all of the account management, sales, everyone that is supporting the Australian businesses are all local to Australia. So when you're working with us, you're going to be working with someone that is predominantly going to be based out in Melbourne, but that's where we're basically going to be able to help support your business. And we take that part very seriously. We have an awesome solution, but we do definitely need the help of our team to really scale it in your business as well. Now, the way that we help local businesses win is what you see on the screen over here. There's like 4 major categories, let's call it. The first one is get found, get chosen, which is all based around the collection of Google reviews and Facebook reviews and other review solutions. The second one is capturing every lead. So what we mean by that is with every single lead or inquiry or communication from customers, we want to house it all into one inbox. And we're going to run you through a little bit of a glimpse of what that looks like for you guys in this presentation. And then when you do capture those leads, the third pillar is all about converting those leads. So we've got a bunch of tools and techniques and AI that's going to help support you guys in the conversion of those leads in particular. And the last big pillar is driving repeat business, which is all to do with SMS marketing and surveys and bringing them back into the business as best as possible. So we're not going to be running through all of this. We're going to be mainly focusing on the eBay and Podium integration. However, if you do want to run through what that looks like for your business, we're happy to facilitate a consultation to run through all of this as well. So that's a little bit about Podium. I'll hand the mic over to James to talk through about eBay, really.
Great, thanks, Rami. I won't spend too much time explaining eBay because I would hazard a guess that most people attending this webinar probably have a pretty good understanding and probably sell on eBay yourselves. So what I thought would be interesting to focus on is just one of our big strengths, which is vehicle parts. And I imagine a big part of these attendees and also Podium customers we know are vehicle parts and accessory sellers. So an interesting stat there is eBay leads the online market. So 15% of Australia's 17 billion auto parts market is online, and eBay is the #1 destination. So if you sell auto parts, you should be selling it on eBay. We have the customers. We have like a lot of features that support the category, which I'll explain a little bit in the next slides as well. Australia has 22 million cars, which, I mean, again, it's just trying to highlight the opportunity there is to sell parts to these customers. Next slide, please, Rami. So again, why sell vehicle parts on eBay as well? Well, for one, we have the user experience. We have a My Garage feature where you can put your vehicle in and then you'll only see what listings are going to be compatible with that vehicle. But then I guess on the seller side, why that's an advantage too as well. It means that we can be a lot more targeted with our marketing because we know what vehicles people have, so we can drive offers specifically to them. We also know that buyers tend to spend more when they're being targeted this way as well. So we've got the user experience, I guess, for the buyers to find the inventory and then also support yourself with trying to get more sales happening for you. Next slide, please. And then again, just it's the user experience angle again. It's just we have the features to essentially sell to this customer. Like just going back to that My Garage feature, it's a really big core part of our platform, and we know that it really builds trust and it helps, reduce returns and just make you sell more parts as well. And then, yeah, I'd say you've probably seen us a lot at events the past few years. It's one of the things we're really investing heavily in this community. You might have seen us at Summer Nats, which is like a big event that we go to, as well as like lots and lots of other publications and media. So we're very much engaged in this community at the moment, and you'll just see us do more and more, I think, over the next few years. And then again, it's like we're here to support. We give you the tools such as fitment. As I mentioned before, we're here to listen. So if you see us at events, come grab us, have a chat. We want to help take your advice to keep improving the platform and making sure that we're giving you the best experience you can on eBay. But I guess why we're here today, and one thing that we really want to highlight is like something that can really make a big difference to your business is just the communication side of things, making sure that you're responding back to buyers. And we've got a really, really interesting stat here, which sort of shocked me a little bit when I saw it, but it's pretty interesting. So over a 90 day period, which we saw 2 million messages across the platform. What we saw is 58% of sellers like did not respond to those messages, which is a pretty interesting stat. It's saying that most of those inquiries, buyers, you're saying it, people they just got ignored, which as you can imagine is not really probably a great way to make a sale. But what we did find is when there was a response, like there is a conversion rate increase. And then we've got another really, really interesting stat there. But I think the thing that we see the most complaints about as well is that buyers not getting responses is something that's one of their biggest gripes. So, but what we do see is when the sellers that do respond, the responsive sellers, they do that quickly, they see a very, very big conversion rate uplift. So as you can imagine, just this little tweak here, just responding back to a buyer can have the biggest difference, particularly in a category where there's a lot of questions. Often, does this part fit my vehicle? Like obviously we have the fitment stuff, but generally, particularly with higher priced items, there is a bit of a question and response type thing. So if you're not responding quickly to them, you're just leaving sales potentially on the table. And that's why, we thought a partnership with someone like Podium would be really good because they can definitely help with this. And that's where I will hand over to Rami again, just to talk through how Podium can help with this 30% conversion rate uplift.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that, James. Like the crazy thing about this stat in particular is like if I'm reading it correctly, out of the 100 messages that get sent to a seller, they could potentially be seeing an extra 30 sales from like 100 messages from that in particular. So yeah, it's a really, really important stat to know because yeah, again, if you're just responding, if you're doing right by the customer and you respond effectively, you can see a massive conversion rate, and that's the goal of this. So we're massive on responding quickly. So we have like something that we call speed to lead, which essentially means the quicker you respond to a customer, the more of a chance you've got to be able to convert them. So I'm probably preaching to the choir to all the Australian business owners out here. But effectively, like the reason why this is so important is because while it's top of mind for that customer and they're thinking about, searching for a product to purchase, if you're responding in a couple of minutes versus a couple of days, the conversion rate is obviously going to be way higher. But what it also does is it stops them in their track from doing research to other suppliers or a different website or whatever it is. So yeah, the short of it is you need to respond to your inquiries and your leads as quickly as possible, so then you can get the best outcome out of your spend. So that's I just wanted to sort of place that here first before we sort of dive into the integration in particular. Now, just to set the agenda of what I'm going to be speaking through with the Podium eBay integration, I'm going to be covering off these 4 key areas, which is to talk about the Podium all-in-one inbox and how that can help support your businesses. Second, we'll be running through what the eBay customer journey looks like and how that sort of ties in with Podium. Third is what are some of the businesses that we're working with that have this integration already in place and some of the key benefits that they're getting out of it. And lastly, to run you through some real life examples of how the businesses are operating this integration and what the key results look like for them in particular. So to kickstart, Podium's all-in-one inbox. So when I speak through an all-in-one inbox, it's not just about eBay. Like we'll have eBay communications coming into Podium, but Podium also houses all the different lead channels from all the different areas within the business. So you think about your website contact forms, you think about your Facebook inquiries, you think about Instagram, even phone calls, emails, lead forms, wherever a lead or a communication happens from a customer to the business, we want to have it in a centralized inbox. Okay. And the reason for that is because with Podium, it is an unlimited user platform, which basically means that you can have everyone in your team have access to Podium with their own user access. And it just means that you've got more eyes over all the different leads that come into the business. And why that's super important is what we always find is there might be a business owner that has access to emails or Facebook account or in their eBay account, and someone else has access to the phones and someone has access to the website chat. And it's kind of like lives in separate like departments, let's call it. But having it centralized, it just allows you guys to be able to have access to all those lead channels, but also give access to all the staff so they can effectively communicate with those customers as well. So that's the first thing, unlimited users, it's all centralized. The other thing that's really awesome about Podium as well is that it is a desktop app. There is a desktop version of it. There's also a website browser version, but we also have a mobile app version of Podium. So even if you're on the road or you're overseas, wherever you are in the world, if you've got access to the internet, it just means that you can actually have access to communicate with your customers, but also have better visibility over the conversations that's been had in the business as well. So it's really good to see that. And the other thing I want to note about the inbox itself is that, again, we're really big on making sure that you guys are converting those customers as best as possible. And from a business owner standpoint as well, have better ways of being able to make sure that you guys are responding to them as quickly as possible. So I want to note on the right over here, a few of the notification settings that we've got. So you can get pinged on the desktop app of Podium. There's the website browser, notification that you can, set up as well. Again, you can set up any notification through the Podium app, and you can even set up a series of emails as well to notify you and your team as well. And the whole reason for this is because if an inquiry comes in and someone isn't responding effectively, then you want to start to ping other people in the business so that they can start to take over that conversation. And I've seen this set up in many different ways. Maybe it's like, cool, like let the inquiries come to this team of people, and if they don't respond within an hour or half an hour, 5 minutes even, let's start to branch out to other people in the business that can get notified to respond to that customer. But the whole goal of that is to make sure that those inquiries are getting responded to as quickly as possible. And like we mentioned before, the quicker you respond to them, the higher of a chance in converting them. In your experience, James, I don't know if you want to touch on anything there, but yeah, in your experience, like how do you see that fitting in with like the parts businesses that you guys work with?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, in an ideal world, your listing has all the information it needs to convert. But what we know, particularly of this industry, is there is a lot of questions generally you get. So having it all in one spot is just meaning you're not going to miss it, right? Like it's just not miss sales. So 100%, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I forgot who I was talking to the other day, but there was a parts business that I was speaking to where they basically respond to eBay messages first thing in the morning and late afternoon, and like that means that there's probably like a 7 or 8 hour gap between those two times. And that again, if you think about the stats that we spoke about before, with the increase of conversion rate by 30% within the hour, you're potentially again missing out on sales at that point. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I
they
want
could jump off to another, jump onto Google, jump anywhere else, find that and buy it there, and where you could have just responded back and got that sale right then and there. So that's the risk by leaving it that long, is that they go and they find it from another eBay seller or who does respond back quickly, or from another site altogether, and then we
yeah.
both lose.
Yeah, and in your experience, James, is it like the way that they set up like their eBay accounts, is it everyone in the team that has access to those conversations, or is it one person? Like, what does that look like typically?
So we do have like a multi-user account access feature where you can like delegate message access, but it is like more complicated probably than say Podium and adding a user. Like you need to get them to set up another eBay account. You need to delegate access to that account. So yeah, I mean, making it even easier to add staff potentially just means more staff are there to respond to a message. There's less setup for you to manage all of these different eBay accounts. So yeah, it's a really good feature, I think, just being able to easily add a user.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that. That kind of wraps up the all-in-one inbox. Next up is talking about the customer journey and how that sort of integrates into Podium as well. So I'm going to be talking through a couple of different examples, but this is typically what the customer journey looks like from an eBay customer looking for products. So they'll scroll through eBay, as you can see over here. They find the product, they click on it. It says contact seller at the bottom. They click on that and they start to ask questions to you guys. Now, where Podium comes into place is basically the message is going to come into Podium, and effectively your team can start to communicate back to that customer through the Podium platform, and it will start to message them back on the eBay account. So from the buyer's standpoint, it doesn't look like they're speaking through Podium or anything like that. It's essentially, it just looks like the business is communicating back to them through eBay just as they normally would. So that's how sort of the integration works, but you're just doing it inside of the Podium dashboard or the Podium app or whatever. So that's what it kind of looks like. Similar to that, we have the same thing with the make an offer, format of where, they can submit a question. So they find the product, make an offer. Once they click make an offer, again, that's going to get housed inside of Podium as well. Now, I would say that this is a pretty hot inquiry, someone that's trying to make an offer to a product that you guys are selling. So again, highlighting as soon as that comes into Podium and everyone gets notified, it's like a really hot sale, let's call it. You want to be capitalizing on that as much as possible. So effectively, if you've got more users and you've got the notification set up, it means that you guys are going to be able to jump onto that inquiry as quickly as possible as well. Awesome. So that's kind of the two main use cases of the Podium integration with eBay. Now, what I want to run you through is what we're seeing. The people that do have the Podium and eBay integration already live on their account, what are some of the key benefits that we're seeing out of that integration in those businesses? So I'm going to be running you through 4 major use cases. The first one being the centralizing of communication. It just cuts out and reduces a lot of time and friction in responding to those customers, and it basically just saves you a lot of time not having to jump in between a couple of systems to be able to respond to that customer effectively. So by centralizing it and housing it in one inbox, it just means that you guys can jump on that quite quickly. The second thing as well is, again, we spoke about this before, but we're seeing a much higher conversion rate with the sales of the eBay messages that are coming in, and it's effectively because you are responding quicker. I'm pretty keen to show you the next slide as well, which is to do with like a real life example of that one in particular. But effectively, the people that are integrating the two systems, we're seeing a much higher conversion rate of sales through this integration. The third thing as well is there's a massive increase of collaboration and visibility for business owners. So what I mean by that is, someone might be speaking to a business through the eBay Podium integration, and there might be a certain staff member that's communicating back to that customer today, but then the next day someone else can actually take over that conversation because that other staff member was away or whatever. So what's cool about that is you can start to hand over, the leads, or you can start to take over conversations from other people in the business quite easily. But not only that, from a business owner standpoint, you can get better visibility over the conversations that your staff members are having with the customers through the eBay questions that's coming in as well. So much more collaboration, higher visibility for business owners as well. And lastly, we're seeing a much higher or a massive increase in customer experience, which is actually resulting in a higher seller rating on eBay as well. And we've actually got a pretty cool use case around that in the next slides as well. So again, just highlighting just the eBay and Podium integration, we're seeing such like high results and just a better way to be able to manage your leads and inquiries. Again, James, do you have any sort of thoughts around that? Do you have any comments around this in particular?
The only thing I would say is just the offers like functionality again, like just seeing that there, particularly I think with like categories like vehicle parts, particularly with like unique inventory as well, like used parts, it's like going to be like a game changer just having it all there to respond to quite easily, I think, because that's like a feature we see just makes a big difference in conversion.
Yep, absolutely. I appreciate that. The other awesome thing about Podium as well is that we've got really solid reporting in the back end. And with the reporting, it just allows you to be able to really drill down on what's been working and what hasn't been working and start to figure out ways to be able to improve the process. So then again, you can start to increase the conversion rates. So some of the examples that I've just noted on the screen over here is you can see the number of inquiries that are coming in from certain channels. So let's say as an example, you're running meta lead ads or you're running Google ads, whatever it is, you can start to see where the increase of leads and if that marketing initiative is starting to work and kick into gear, alongside again the eBay leads that are coming in, how many are you guys getting and how many inquiries are you receiving? But then once you do get those inquiries, you can start to drill down on what the average response time looks like, what the first response time looks like. You can even drill down by user as well. So there might be certain staff members that are doing better with their communications with customers versus others. So it's like, all right, cool. How can I, as a business owner, figure out what they're doing, that's a little bit better than the rest, or, how can I effectively change the process to make sure that we're getting onto these inquiries much quicker. But it's a really awesome way to, again, take a step back, get a better, visibility over the leads and inquiries, and figure out ways to sort of improve on that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty powerful because it's not, we give you a lot of analytics on eBay. And I think it's one of the most important things to do as a business is use data to make decisions. And it's like we give you a lot of data on traffic, on sales, on other features, but we don't necessarily give people a lot of data on like response times and things like this. So having another, data point to make decisions about your business, I think is really useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Now, the exciting part, real life examples of how the Podium and eBay integration works, and yeah, some of the key features or results that we're seeing with this integration. So we've got a case study that we want to run you guys through, which is basically an inquiry that happened on the 24th of March. Essentially, when an eBay inquiry comes in, the cool thing about the integration as well is it can give you a summary of the product itself, of which they're inquiring from. So you can see over here, this person's inquiring about the Ford Ranger black leather steering wheel. The other awesome thing about the integration as well is you can get a little bit more insight about the buyer themselves. And then obviously you could see the inquiry at the bottom, which is how cheap can you do it? So pretty blunt, but that's the question that he asked. And then from there, you could see the business is now communicating back to that customer. So how cheap can you do it? Hi, I can do it for $400. Would you like it? What about $350? Yes, I can do $350. Okay, let's do it. Right. So that's basically the conversation happening inside of Podium. But then again, from the buyer standpoint, it doesn't look like it's coming from a different platform. It's just coming from their eBay account. But one thing I want to note about this case study as well is the time of which from initial inquiry to when they actually converted into a sale. So the inquiry happened at 10:45 a.m. The awesome thing is the business actually responded within 2 minutes, which is great. So 10:47, the business responded, yes, I can do this for $400. Would you like it? Which is awesome to see. Again, highlighting the speed to lead element that we spoke about earlier. The quicker you respond to a customer, the more of a chance you've got to convert them. And then you can also see at 10:53, which is only an 8-minute difference from the initial inquiry to when the customer accepted it. You can see that they've now converted the sale. Now, taking a step back again, if you think about if we had waited even 2 hours to respond back to this customer, there is a huge chance that person, while it's top of mind, looking for a black steering wheel for this Ford Ranger, he could have gone to other, sellers on eBay. He might have actually hopped off eBay altogether and jumped onto a different website to see if there's different, sellers out in the market on Google or whatever. So again, just highlighting the quicker you respond to this customer while it's top of mind for them, the higher the chance of being able to convert that customer. Again, James, what are your thoughts, feelings around this?
I just think it's a really, really cool, clear example, like of respond quickly, make a sale. Like it's exactly right. I just want to agree completely. You give people too much time to go off. Like it's a very good chance they could have gone and found that somewhere else, maybe even cheaper. Like it's just because you had the engagement there, you might have, yeah, it might have even got more than what they could have paid somewhere else. So yeah, I definitely agree. The fact that you can get to it quickly is all the difference.
Yep, absolutely. And again, highlighting because it's unlimited users in Podium, it means that you can effectively have more people trying to respond to this customer when, again, you might not have the time with the person that might have the eBay account. So the more eyes, the quicker, the better, really, then the higher the conversion rate as well.
I mean, another interesting angle as well is like the buyer information. Now, obviously, eBay gives you a lot of protections. That's one of the biggest advantages of eBay. But the fact that, if you're selling something really expensive, and you can have a look at the buyer and see have they bought much on eBay, it gives you a bit of confidence. Or like if they've bought thousands of items, they're probably a really, really good legitimate buyer or somebody that might keep coming back to you as well. They're obviously like somebody that buys a lot from eBay. So there might be someone you want to give a bigger discount to.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a good shout as well. But the cool thing is, as well, when you are responding effectively and as quickly as possible, not only will you see a massive increase of conversion rates, but you'll start to see a higher score rating for your seller rating. And the awesome thing about what we're doing with like the Podium and eBay integration is we're starting to see communication being highlighted a lot in the reviews as well. So I know James spoke about this before, but one of the biggest issues that customers have when dealing with businesses is communication and the lack of communication. So what's cool to see is, again, this is another case study around communication in general, but you'll start to see in their reviews that the customers are starting to talk about communication and how quickly they responded. And with off the back of that, yeah, customers are absolutely loving that experience as well. So it's just really good to see. Yeah. Any comments around that, James, as well?
I mean, it's something we love to see on eBay. Obviously, we want to see these really good feedback scores. We want to see people leaving positive reviews, and they generally don't do that sort of thing unless they've actually had a good experience, right? Like they've taken the time to come in here and leave it, which people don't necessarily do unless they get a good experience. So yeah, it just shows how important it is, and it's good to see it in action, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're like our business also focuses on Google reviews, like I mentioned before. And one of the biggest things that customers always say is like with like negative reviews in particular, is that it was just a lack of communication with the business. Communication is like absolutely key. So again, if you can effectively communicate with customers better and quicker and easier, you're going to have a much better customer experience overall. So just want to highlight that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the first things I imagine most. I know I do as a buyer on eBay. Like, I'll jump before I make a purchase. I'll jump in and I'll look at this feedback score and the thing. And if you look in there and you saw, doesn't respond, etc., like potentially you're just going to jump off and buy something else. So like this sells for you. This feedback score as well. So yeah, just another reason why it's really important.
Absolutely. That kind of sums up the Podium slash eBay integration. But I just want to highlight really quickly as well. We do support businesses, especially in the auto parts industry, in so many other ways. And I kind of just want to give everyone a bit of an understanding and a bit of a snapshot of what that looks like in particular. Especially because, yeah, in the parts industry, there's so many different ways that we can help support them, not just from, an eBay standpoint, but there's so much breadth to our platform for you guys. The first one is with Google reviews and Google rankings. So we can actually help support you guys collect more Google reviews. And the awesome thing about that is it increases your SEO and increases the chances of you guys being selected, especially if people are searching for like auto parts businesses near me and whatnot. So yeah, we're quite big on collecting Google reviews. We can even help support you in responding to the reviews as well, which is equally as important as collecting them as well. So yeah, that's the first thing I want to cover off. The second thing as well is we do have integrations with, many systems out there in the auto parts industry, like Shopify, Neato, Maripost, Lightspeed. There's a whole range of different ways that we can integrate into the systems that you guys are using. And effectively what that means is it can create more efficiencies in the business and increase that customer experience as well. So I want to highlight that. The third thing that I wanted to highlight with auto parts businesses is we can actually make your website textable 24/7 by putting a chat solution on the website. Now, this is probably one of the most important tools that we've got for auto parts. And the reason being is because when someone is looking for an alternator or a battery or any sort of parts product, a lot of the research is done after hours, right? Or on weekends when your business is closed. And I myself buy parts for my vehicle all the time. And I'm not doing it during my 9 to 5 job because obviously I'm busy doing work. But when I'm jumping across websites at the moment and they don't have an easy way to communicate with that customer, with that business, effectively you're missing out on lost revenue. So we've got a really good chat solution that can sit on your website that allows the customer to be able to communicate with the business 24/7. The fourth thing as well is that the overall platform of Podium is we are basically an SMS and MMS communications platform. And why that's really important for the auto parts industry is that SMS has such a high open rate. So as you can see on the screen, it's a 98% open rate overall. In fact, 90% of text messages are open within the first 3 minutes of receiving it. And what we're seeing in the auto parts industry is when you're using SMS and MMS to communicate effectively with your customers, we're seeing a huge conversion rate. And it's mainly because a customer might inquire into your business and they might have a part that they're specifically looking for. They can now actually send you an image of what that part looks like or even the part number and send it across to your business. And then from your business standpoint, you can also send SMS and MMS back to them So you might even have that part in stock, and you might take a photo of it and send it to them directly, and then you guys can still, talk back and forth until that person is ready to commit. And then once they are ready to commit, then you can actually collect payments through our platform through text as well. And we use things like Google Pay and Apple Pay and Samsung Pay to collect payment even quicker. So typically what normally might happen is you might send an invoice out, they might get an email which has about a 17 to 25% open rate. But then when they do get that invoice, they have to jump into their bank and then grab the BSB and account number from the invoice and then type it into the bank transfer details and whatnot. And it takes a little bit more time and a lot more friction for them to submit payment to you guys. But if you're doing it through text and you're using things like Google Pay and Apple Pay, it just means it just requires a face ID and a fingerprint, and then that customer can submit payment to you guys quite quickly. So it reduces as much friction as possible, and it effectively allows you to convert those customers at a faster rate as well. And lastly, we're big on communication, and we have a really awesome phones product that allows you to record every single phone call in the business. And we have AI built to the back of it that transcribes every single phone call word for word, and it has AI summary as well. And the reason why this is so important for auto parts businesses is because it basically eliminates miscommunication with customers because everything is recorded and everything is transcribed. But what we're also seeing is if a staff member is communicating with a customer today and then that customer comes back a week later and he's again speaking through whatever part they're looking for, that second staff member might not know the context of that customer, but now that every phone call and everything is recorded through Podium and everything's transcribed, that next staff member that's dealing with that customer will have full visibility and better insight of the communication that's been had previously. So what we're seeing is that you basically have a tool that can write notes on your behalf, and it just allows you to have better visibility. And from a business owner standpoint, again, highlighting because you've got the Podium app and you've got the desktop, version of Podium, you can jump into the platform at any point in time and see all the different conversations that's been had in the business whenever you'd like. So wanted to highlight that really quickly because again, Podium does a lot for the auto parts industry. And like I said, if you do want to jump on a call and speak to one of our experts, scan this QR code. We're happy to jump on a call and run you through the Podium platform in more detail. And we can even run a discovery call to see if it is a good fit. If it's not a good fit, respectfully, we can shake hands, walk away. That's totally fine. But would really appreciate it if you jumped on a call and figure out if it's going to be a good fit. And if it is, then great. We could talk about next steps from there as well. But yeah, that's it from me, really. Do you have anything else to say, James?
No, I just say great. Thanks for the opportunity to come and talk a little bit about eBay. We just want to make sure that our sellers have the most amount of options that make life easier for them, that make selling on eBay easier for them. So if this is something that does that, which, we very much think that is the case, then yeah, that's great. Happy to jump on today. Thanks, mate.
Absolutely. And eBay, thank you so much for having us as well. And thank you, James, for jumping on the call today as well, man. So really appreciate it. Everyone else on the call, very nice to meet you, and hopefully we can hear from you soon.